to do it this way because my Zoom account does not record, so I have to use Screencast-O-Matic to record the meeting. So, because this is a question and answer session, just for everybody who's watching the video, my name is Diane Morrison, and I will be your instructor for the next 8 weeks in this class, Health Assessment of Individual and Populations. I actually really like this class because I think it builds on your previous knowledge from your med-surg classes and your foundations, and I really see students becoming better critical thinkers and starting to make decisions that they would be making as a nurse. So I do like this class. So Linda, did you have any questions for me? Okay, so did you watch the orientation to the class video? Okay, so most of your questions were answered in there? Is that correct? Okay, so I'm not really going to go over anything else that I talked about in there. I will be talking about the next assignment, which comes up rather quickly, which is next week. Before I get there, I do want to just go through the discussion rubric again as a reminder. So we'll scroll down here. And just a few reminders to everyone. Make sure that when you are posting, you post by Wednesday and you include a scholarly reference. And I'm going to point something out about that when I get off the rubric. Your journal article should be within 5 years, and you need to have a reference and a citation. And we do we request that you have posts over 250 words. I noticed many of you are including your word count, and that is great. That way you are also aware of how many words you have, and it's not a surprise if it isn't 250 words. Remember that does not include the discussion question, and it does not include your citation and reference. And also in that post, you do not want to have more than 20% of a quote. So you want to start thinking about paraphrasing or putting what you read in your own words. So, and if you have any questions about that, please let me know. The big thing with netiquette is basically being civil, but also remembering to address everyone by their first or their name, whatever their name or that they are requested. So you can call me Instructor Morrison. And grammar, remember we are now in the 7th edition of APA format. The two biggest things I see in there is we do not use retrieved from anymore in the reference list. So it goes right to the URL. And if you're citing or referencing a textbook, you do not include the city anymore. So that's the two. There's other ones, but those are the two that I see that you'll be running into most. So do you have any questions about the discussion threads, Linda? You mean for your replies? No, we usually suggest around 150, but we do not have that listed in the rubric. But that's kind of a good rule. So you want your comments to be, it's nice to ask a question, but not just ask a question, but respond to the other person's post, and then by asking a question, that really increases everybody's critical thinking. So you kind of add to the conversation, and people hopefully will respond to your questions. So that's a good idea to do. Or you can put a question at the end of your discussion initial post too. So either way. All right, and so what I was going to point out is the LRI in library is a really quick way to find your references. It takes you right to your databases, and you can do health and medical, and then you can jump to any of what I would suggest is ProQuest Direct or this one here. And then depending upon what this week we're talking about different cultures. You could put in nursing and the Latino population or whatever. I would check full text, peer reviewed, and you should be able to come up with quite a few articles. You can also do an advanced search, and then where you can even narrow it down to, you can limit the dates, and you can also put in, I always put in nursing in the second title, and then I put it in, okay. Then in here I put the publication, because that way, if you add that, then you'll only get nursing journals. So I don't see where the publication, there it is. So, so that helps you, that makes it easier for you to find an article. Do you have any questions about that?
It's one of the prettiest I've ever
seen. Nope. Okay, we'll go back now to, I guess we're going to go this way. All right, so I'm going to talk to you about the next assignment, which is coming up rather quickly, and that is the healthy lifestyle living assessment. And this assignment is basically taking a look at a community or an area that you live in. What you're looking for is ways to maintain a healthy living lifestyle. So I would strongly suggest you pick an area that is maybe a city, a valley, a county, something small, because the larger the area, the harder it is to assess. I know students in the past have gone online and used countries, but it's really hard to gather the information that you need to meet the criteria when you go that big. So my suggestion is keep it in an area that is small. You can do the community where you live, or maybe someplace where you visited, or someplace where you're thinking about moving after you graduate. But again, keep the area small. So what you're doing is finding that geographical area or / community, and then why did you pick the area? So like I said, maybe you want to move there, maybe you just are curious about what is in the city or town or township where you live. So what you're going to do is assess that area where you find healthy living opportunities, such as what's available for physical activity, and that could include free or public or private. So examples of that would be, especially in Utah, you've got mountain ranges, hiking trails, that type of thing, parks, anything that you can do where you do not have to pay. Whereas private would be like gyms, places where you'd have to have a membership. And then you'll go down this list of all these areas here and speak to each one. My suggestion when you're writing a paper like this is you divide these areas up from introduction to conclusion and put a heading number one heading in your paper. That way you know you've covered each criteria. And I'll go through the rubric with this too. Then after you just talked about I live in this town and these are all the things that are available for healthy living styles, then you're going to, is it open to the public? Do you have to pay memberships? What is the accessibility? Then you're going to take it one step further and discuss how it are the what we would consider vulnerable populations, and we'll be talking about that in next week's lecture. Would be, for example, the elderly, people with disabilities, a language barrier, anything you see as, we talked this week about homeless population, that would be a vulnerable population, and do they have access to any of these facilities? So one of the things with people with disabilities, I think an easy example is, do the parks have, sometimes you'll see parks that have wheelchair access or swings that are made so that someone who has a disability can sit in them and enjoy it. Once you are done with that, you will summarize your assessment, and then are there any populations in that area that would have limited access? So I'm going to kind of review this again in the rubric. So it should be 3 to 5 pages. That does not include the title page and the reference page. A minimum of 2 scholarly references, and you should be using APA format. So down here again is the criteria. Whenever you write a paper, always make sure that you are addressing everything that's in this first box. So again, the area and why you chose it. In here, you want to speak to all of these list of opportunities. And then if they're private or public, and that can be discussed here, or you can incorporate it into this one. So who has access to these healthy living lifestyle opportunities? And then this one talks about the vulnerable population and what did you find from your first criteria? How do they access this or what? And then your conclusion is, what did you find? This is a great area, but when it comes to vulnerable populations, really there's nothing to offer, or maybe there's many things to offer. It might be diverse. So that is it's a paper that you will write for next week. So do you have any questions about that? Do you have any questions, Linda? No. Does that make sense? So what I'll do is I will put this recording up, and I will also include an example paper so that I know I'm a visual learner. So if I see a picture of something, it helps me to get an idea. But just as a reminder to everyone that please do not use that paper in a shell in any way, because that will have an impact on your Turnitin score. So it's there for you to review, but only as a guideline. All right, do you have any questions? I'm sorry, I'm picking on you, but you're the only one here. Yeah. But I appreciate that. Right. I think if you watch the video and look at the sample paper, you should be fine with this assignment. And I find in the Utah area, there's really a lot of nice areas that have many opportunities for healthy living. So, all right. Do you have any questions about anything else? When the second assignment comes up in week 4, I also have a video on that, so that'll just be posted that week. All right. So if you do not have any questions, I will end the meeting. Can you think of anything else? No? Okay. All right. So I'm going to end this meeting and make sure that if you ever have any questions, you put it in the discussion under Ask Questions for the Instructor, because that way, if you have a question, then someone else in your class might have the same question. So that's where I'd like these questions to go. Oh, okay. Yes. So I'm sorry, because I can't see the participant screen because I'm recording, did you say this is Emily? Sear, okay. Yes, your discussion post should be a minimum of 250 words, and that does not include the citation reference and the discussion question. We don't have a requirement for that, but usually around 150 words is a nice number of words. And I did talk a little bit about that in etiquette. Make sure you're addressing everyone by a name. And remember, we're using APA 7th edition format now. So, any other questions? I'm glad you popped on.